Okay, so video 2 in the FormIt series. So again, we're looking at beginning tutorials in FormIt, and one of the first things that we always want to do when we're starting a design, or any 3D model for that matter, is establish our site and our context. So right now, by default, FormIt is just sort of an arbitrary location, but it has the opportunity to do sun, solar studies, weather energy studies, those kind of things. So it's really important that we actually start utilizing and setting up our model to take advantage of everything that FormIt has to offer. So one of the first things we need to do, really before we even start modeling, is to establish our location. So to do that, I can take any address, probably shouldn't say any address, most any address, and input that, and it's going to take me right to that location. So here is Fallingwater. This is just sort of the example project I'm tracking through. And as you can tell, it's good satellite photo. I can see Bear Run, sort of all that stuff, but it's very much covered in trees. But it still gives me a little bit of context, so I'm going to go ahead and simply go import satellite image. It is going to set up my system so that I can zoom in or out, how much context I would like to have. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit more. Let's grab parking and the building location. Yeah, good enough. And say finish importing. And that brings in a map, but it also adjusts my latitude and longitude and gets everything set up and ready to go. This also is set up at a 1-to-1 scale. In other words, if I start modeling over the top of this, which is definitely tricky to do, but I can start to see it here. If I start modeling over the top of this, that is roughly at the correct scale. Now, the other thing that I would mention, let's just go ahead and exaggerate this height a little bit, is it's also adjusted my latitude and longitude. So if I turn on shadows and set my time of the year and my time of day, I will get accurate shadow location based off of establishing my location. So all those are really important things to do. The next thing that I can also do with this, let's go back to our location map really quick, and let's zoom out. I can find my local weather stations. And you know, I haven't actually looked at this one. There they are. So I've got 3 weather stations that I can pull data from, basically climate data from. And at times, it's really important not to just pick the closest one, but in terms of wind in particular, I might want to pick one that has similar conditions. So I know this is sort of along a valley right here. The valley is running roughly north-south, so I might want to select this weather station over this one. I'm really not sure. I haven't done enough looking in terms of what actually happens here in this Bear Run area. So I'm just going to let FormIt choose for me, which by default it is going to be the closest. But I always like to look in terms of what weather station is going to be the right one and be similar in terms of context. So I'm typically going to establish that. This brings up some really nice information like my wind roses for different times of the year, that I can really start to understand how different times of the year are going to completely have different variables for how I can design passively with cooling, or what areas of the building I need to protect. You know, so if we look at this area, December and February is completely different right here than September through November. So we have a complete flip in terms of what the wind rose is doing. So all of those things are really important to see and understand early on in the design process. And that's something that FormIt is set up to do really, really nicely for you as you begin working through.